Hello, everyone, here on Enlightened World Network. I'm Reverend Tomás Garza, and I'm the host of A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love, the video series that's available here on Enlightened World Network's YouTube channel. And I want to pop on with what I hope is going to be a really useful and a really handy video for you today about some really timely current events. Actually, every event is current because there's only the present moment, but you get what I mean. I have been in contact with Ruth and Sue and people here at the network about getting on the network a little bit more, just to highlight this show, A Course in Miracles 365, which, as many of you know, began as a live stream here on EWN. We've been pre-recording all of the material, and it's all there for you and counting. There are now over 450 episodes available. So especially if you're going through the workbook for students, then we've done every single lesson on there. So wherever you are, if you want a little bit of additional information or some inspiration, perhaps, there may be something that I've said on here that will really impact your walk. And that's what I'm hoping for. So I'm going to pop in here and record some videos on events that are currently happening from the perspective of A Course in Miracles. Some of you are familiar with this, some of you are not. Doesn't matter. This applies to everyone. It is, in fact, a universal curriculum. It is a self-study curriculum where one takes what one wants to take, what this person elects to take at a given time. Yeah. So one of the questions is, how do you go deep within and handle your own judgment of somebody? Great question. Yeah, this is a good one. Current event. Let's use politics. I frequently, in the video series, use politics in general to illustrate a dynamic and a point. The dynamic is the ego run amok, isn't it? No matter where you happen to place yourself on a political spectrum, this goes to the issue of digging deep and judgment and finding the ability to cope in a situation where someone who you may be very close to clearly does not see things as you do. And the judgment that you both place on each other is that y'all are wrong. And it may be even much worse than that. I like to use this as an example because the dynamic is the ego, a sense of a separate self running amok. What's going on? We're defining and defending personal territory, aren't we? I'm on this side of a debate. The other person's on this side of a debate. We're fighting. Maybe. We appear to be. What do I do? Good question. So let's take a family context. I know a number of you can relate to this. You may have a family member who is on the complete opposite side of the political spectrum from you. And you may be wondering at all times how this could possibly happen. And I think of a handful of my own family members that view things completely differently than I do. And you may be judging them. So first and foremost, we learn to judge at a really young age, don't we? This is really, really important to accept and to understand that we've all been conditioned to see ourselves as separate. We have been conditioned to see ourselves as a body, in a body, as an individual, as a man, as a woman, as a member of our ethnic group, as a member of our church or our spiritual tradition, as a member of some sort of defined dynamic in society, including members of a nation state, citizens of a country. This is how we've been conditioned. And if you prefer the word indoctrinated, that also works, doesn't it? But we learn, don't we? We learn from our parents, we learn from our siblings and our family members. And when we go to school, we learn from our teachers and principals, and we learn from a constant bombardment of messages from society at large about who we supposedly are. So when you find yourself judging your family member on the other side of the aisle, so to speak, just know that we've all been conditioned to see things this way. And I only say this so that you will give yourself a little bit of grace, so that you will cut yourself a little bit of slack. Because what is going to follow from here will really require that. I hope that you don't flog yourself for being in this position of vehemently disagreeing with somebody and having judgmental thoughts. This does not make you a horrible person. It simply means you're breathing in this world, doesn't it? Where spiritual practice helps us to set this judgment aside. So from a standpoint of A Course in Miracles, those of you who are familiar with this material will know that it focuses quite heavily on forgiveness. So as a practical matter, let's say you've got a family member who doesn't see things the way you do, and let's say they're very active on social media and really vocal, and they have no filter. I mean, let's just throw all of this out there for example's sake. And you find yourself thinking, oh my God, and judging. Okay. What happens? First of all, we have to notice ourselves judging. Awareness is key. That's why meditation's a thing in spirituality. That's why there are daily meditations here on Enlightened World Network. That's why meditation is such a huge part of Buddhism, for example, why prayer and contemplation is such a part of so many spiritual traditions worldwide. Because if we're not aware that it's going on, I'm talking about the judgment, how can we possibly expect ourselves to do anything about it? Well, we can't, right? So first of all, be aware of it. Then, as soon as you become aware of that, forgive. Here's what I mean. You simply forgive the other person and yourself. The exact wording that you use does not really matter. It's the content, the attitude of forgiveness that's important. Here's the important point. You do not have to send this person a private message. You do not have to call. You do not have to have an in-person conversation or send an email. They don't have to know that you're forgiving them. This can be done entirely non-verbally. It can. It takes place in the mind. And this other person does not have to know. Important point here. You don't have to agree with them. Nobody is saying that if you find their view on a particular subject completely untenable, and it's a view that you could never hold, then you don't have to. What is going on is if you, in your mind, forgive them and yourself, you're lightening yourself, your own mind. It's you that feel badly for judging, isn't it? This person may or may not know that you're doing it. They may expect that you're doing it, or maybe they're completely oblivious. I don't know. But it's you yourself that feels the impact of that judgment. And because you want to feel better about it, otherwise you never would have raised the question. You wouldn't be watching this, frankly, if you didn't want to feel better about it. What you can do is just know that when you, even silently, even just for a couple of seconds, forgive the other person and yourself, you're lightening your own mind. Why is this important? Well, it's where the action is. What happens when you make a practice or a habit out of this? Well, you may notice that you begin to show up differently in life. More patient, more loving, and you may begin to notice that when you show up, people's defenses begin to drop. The tension level decreases, sometimes by an order of magnitude. Forgiveness is central to A Course in Miracles, and it does not at all mean that you condone this other person's behavior. It does not mean that you agree with it. In fact, it is 100% possible to maintain healthy boundaries. If you have a boundary with this other person that you don't talk politics, that is healthy, and you may certainly keep that and insist on it. What's going on is you feel badly about the judgment and you want to feel better, correct? This is a way. And the more you practice it, the more you realize that it works. This is a way to feel better in the present moment. If you have questions about this, I really, really would love if you commented here on this thread. Again, we're pre-recording a number of videos on topics of interest right now to you. And well, certainly, I'm joining you from the United States, so we are very much always on the world stage. It's the way we've set it up. So you may be aware of some of the chaos and disagreement that's going on here right now. So wherever you happen to stand on the spectrum, this applies. I've just used a political debate between you and a family member, which you may or may not have, but any disagreement. It could be in a relationship. And it could also, because ultimately it is, a disagreement that you're having with yourself. So this applies across the board. And in A Course in Miracles, we're invited and taught to bring forgiveness to every situation. You don't have to agree with someone else. Their positions may be completely indefensible to you, and you may never agree with them, and they may have brought you tremendous harm in your life. One of my personal greatest forgiveness lessons with this material was my own mother, who was a raging alcoholic and highly emotionally abusive. She passed away in 2016, but before she did, I had to set up some healthy boundaries such as my own insistence that I'm not going to put up with this behavior. I'm done. I'm not going to respond to any of this. In essence, if you bring it, you're wasting your time, right? A healthy boundary. And what did I do? I forgave. I lightened my own mind. Did she change as a result? Well, apparently not. But what matters is that you change your own mind. The other person never has to know that you're doing it. And by the way, I never told her that I was forgiving her for decades of emotional abuse on a deep level, forgiving her for her own self-hatred, which is why anyone is an addict of any kind, isn't it? So these forgiveness lessons work. How did I come out of this? Well, lighter, more confident and certain that all of this works, and healthier, really. Continuing to harbor painful judgment, well, it's painful, isn't it? And ultimately unhealthy. So happily, there are tools at the ready that we can implement to change our own minds and bring ourselves a modicum of happiness, even if it is only just a little bit in the present moment. Then in the next moment, you do it again and again and again. That's the point. So if you have specific questions, please feel welcome to reach out to me on social media or leave a comment here. I am all over Messenger, guys. So please send me a private message if you'd like to talk about this some more. If we're not connected on Facebook, then it will go into my message requests, which I habitually check as well. So just let me know that you saw me here on EWN, and I invite you to check out the videos. They're on Enlightened World Network's YouTube channel. And I'm really, really happy to be offering this content to you because it's always so needed, right? Because we're conditioned to judge. We're conditioned to define and defend personal territory. And on our way to letting all of that go, we have some moments, don't we? And closing message here is you have help, you have assistance in all of these moments. That's what I am here for. It's what any other spiritual teacher or coach or guide is here for. It's what a community is here for. So please feel welcome to take advantage of that and reach out with thoughts, comments, questions. And I will see you back here again soon. Thank you so much and have a great day.